All right, we're done with the little faces. The cam is back. Welcome, guys. I just want to do a fun little Saturday stream. I'm really wanting to look at charts today, and I thought, hey, why not look at some charts with you guys? That way, you know, people can come in. I know that the course sale is ending, and anyone that's been ripped apart by 2025 already, well, it's probably going to continue. So I wanted anyone that had questions about the, say, Patreon, you know, with weekly expected moves, any questions related to that, any questions related to the courses that we have down in the description, as that course sale is coming to a big end. You can get it for $100 right now, but I just wanted to come live because I'm going to be looking at charts to get a grasp on what's happening in the overall market. And I'm just going to be mainly looking at these type of charts here on daily scales, maybe peeking over into some 2 hours and 30 minutes and things like that. But hey, if you're willing to join me for a Saturday video, I really appreciate that, because hey, it's your time, right? It's potentially the market's closed, so you have a good weekend here to do whatever you want. If you want to spend your time with me for a little bit, I'm just going to be looking at other stuff and listening to some freaking metal out here, dude. Sorry that my hair's all funky, and the dogs might bark at some point because they are coming again to check on that water damage, just so you are aware. All right, guys. See if some people trickle in here. Maybe leave some likes on this stream. That way some people can maybe join us. Maybe some new people join us in here. But top of the morning to ya, Brian. Hope you're doing all right out there, guys. Baby girl's 1-year-old birthday tomorrow. Friggin' jack to the T's over here, homie. So make sure that as you go through, I'm not going to try to mention a bunch of things that are in the video that was just posted. We did just post a video. If you would like to go watch that and come back to the live stream, perfectly fine with that. I'm not going to sit here and go over stuff over and over and over. We're going to get very basic stuff that was pretty much in the video already. But if you want to check that out before joining us here, I totally understand that. And it was more just pointing out the risks, right? The risks that we were paying attention to, the risks that we were paying attention to. We're glad we paid attention to that for the SPY on Friday, right? We were looking for, hey, is this going to go wrong? Because we knew that those things were happening. We knew we're towards a daily expected move, and we see that that crossed down. And when this 30-minute crosses down, it's close enough when it crosses down to the center line that you kind of have to make a decision here. You have to say, am I willing to hold on to this to see if it can bounce again and make another higher low? Which still is possible going into Monday, by the way, just so you're aware. It'll be interesting once we get updated daily and weekly expected moves to see what's going to go on there. They helped us out this week again, right? We got to say thank you. If you're in the chat right now and you like weekly expected moves, say thank you to them. You know, it's kind of like a plant. You got to say thank you to stuff. Because I'm one of those believers that everything has certain levels of consciousness. I'm one of those type of people. So I am a big philosophy guy. And so if you talk to a plant and tell a plant that it's beautiful over and over and over again, it will grow to be big and beautiful. If you talk to your plant, even if you feed it well, you water it well, but you talk to it like a douche, your plant doesn't grow as well. So I'm a believer in that. Say thank you to your charts when you have a good trade. Something to point out here, though, this did cross down at this level, you know, at least for me, with those risks, the dollar, the 10-year, and those reversals popping up, the HGX dropping off, the HYG confirming this signal here, all of that led me to believe that the best way to stay risk managed was if the 30-minute crosses down, don't be long. And actually, I was really convinced while this was happening at these higher levels that we were going to see some kind of drop in this area. Now, the reason that I overall thought that was because of those little signals there. And so I actually didn't end up, and you might have heard me on Friday say this, I didn't end up holding any calls up in these levels and selling with the downturn. I was out of those calls already, right? I'm very quick with it in this kind of market. This is a very good thing because it reminds me of a bear market still, where you kind of have to see a good move, a good trade, and you might have to react quickly even as a position trader like myself. So I have kind of upped my selling time frame, if you will, being like, hey, I usually will hold on to this for a few days, maybe even a week, maybe even 2 weeks. Now in recent times, you've probably seen this over the last couple of months, I'm usually like, I'm taking this trade, I'm selling this trade. And that's exactly what happened with DIA. DIA gave a great signal. And this is a great thing to talk about as the course sale is ending. If you would like me to show you something that to a T looks like a trade setup based on the weekly expected moves, this is it. This is it right here for DIA. And just to notice this on DIA, you've gone up and up and up, and it was not seeing that big drop that the SPY was, right? It was not seeing that continued building of a base down in these type of areas. It was continuing to go to the upside. We see the 30-minute divergence there. We see it also all across this. You see it all across this. We pointed this out. So this is what I mentioned during the live stream. We noticed that the 2-hour did make rejection divergence, just suggesting, by the way, I'm not someone who thinks rejection divergence is the best to absolutely like turn you to the downside. I think we still have to be aware if this backs off still and then turns back up in a positive, right? It's still in a positive trend as it stands right now. Right? If we get that to push lower and then we see it move up and then we see it curl back down, hey, that would be more a divergence really close to the center line, which is something that I'm more happy to risk money behind for a short position. At this moment, we're paying attention if that daily chart can cross down. This is something we talked about in the video that was just posted to YouTube. So if you want to check out some of that info, you can take a break from the live stream for a bit. We're going to be live for a solid hour or so here. So if you want to take a break, go watch that video and come back. More than happy to. The last thing, oh yeah, from the video that I wanted to mention was I messed up calculating the monthly expected moves. Not bad enough if you already put those on your charts. We're going to mention this over the whole next week that I kind of messed up the calculation. I didn't have the correct days to expiration, right? From month to month it can change, and since February has the 28th, it kind of messed up the calculation. So I was off by a few days. I was off by about 4 days, I believe. So now the calculation is correct here. If you want to get these on your charts, 624.28 actually to the upside. I think in the video it says 625.20 or something like that. It's just a little bit down from that. 624.28. And this one has come in a little bit, 579.36. This really helps us out. And this is kind of what I'm going to do here. Will you give the daily expected moves on Monday? I'll actually give those out tomorrow, Duranto. So you're aware, Duranto. I believe you're relatively new to the channel. Every single Sunday, every single night, we give away daily expected moves. But when we have Monday, obviously, you get daily and weekly expected moves every Sunday. Every Sunday, yeah. So on Sunday, we'll give out these red lines and these purple lines. These are last week's. These are not this week's or anything like that. These are these are Fridays, not Mondays, just so you're aware. We will be giving those out tomorrow. So make sure you're subscribed. Maybe leave a like so someone else can see it. Thoughts on tariffs and Tesla. Tariffs are going to be one of the things that causes confusion in 2025. We are very aware of that, and that seems to be one thing right now, right? Apparently this drop is happening because people are mentioning tariffs, which means they think things are going to get more expensive, which is probably why we saw the reversal signals from the 10-year yield, right? Now, this is a big deal. This is a very big deal because notice once again, we see reversal signals, we see money move, we see the sellers get weak, we see those buyers step in. Potentially, you would call them buyers in this area. You say buyers or sellers step in, and that causes things to reverse. And then we see the reversal signals proven. Shortly after that, what do you get? You get news, right? You get news, and that's the big deal here. Notice that people are moving their money around, maybe knowing something before you can, and suggesting, hey, this could be something bad. Right? Hey, we're positioning in a way because there's extreme risk here. Why do they see that risk? Oh, well, maybe they knew Trump was going to mention tariffs, or they thought it was a high probable thing. So this is just a good proof of like paying attention to signals first and then looking for the news that can make it go down farther is probably a better way to do it. We have done tariffs in the past under Trump. Market still did great. Exactly. I'm not saying that they're going to be bad or good. I think it's going to cause confusion. Confusion does not mean bad or good. It means you most likely will go through times of bad and times of good and times of bad and times of good. You're going to see bigger moves, I think, throughout all of 2025. And then you're going to see moments where we get these big runs or big drops. And so we'll just pay attention for those moments. This was the best trade setup. It was such a good trade. It was insane. Yeah, Amelia, I think it could just be confusion. Now, once you come to a conclusion at the end, the confusion will subside. Once markets start to digest things, things will be decided. Swing trade for the win. It could be as simple as a swing trade. And is the swing trade really saying like, oh, this is bad right now? Technically, yes, right? These bars are not necessarily the best right now. Okay, for the SPY, a person who is swing trading would possibly not even be back in yet. They would possibly be out on this type of bar if they held through all this, saw the bounce, and then they see this again. They go, okay, now I'm convinced, right? So swing traders could be potentially pushing this lower, and we see that from the 2-hour chart. And this is the analysis I kind of wanted to look at, and I figured, hey, if I'm going to sit here and look at charts, why not hang out with you guys for a bit? So the 2-hour was able to cross, and it wasn't able to cross on the last bar of the day. This was a solid cross down right here. Okay, solid cross down, full 2 hours, fully through that 9, fully through the 5, crossing over the MACD, crossing over on the RSI, which means we should be very open to when these weekly moves adjust. What if it's down towards this gap fill? What if this gap fill gets tested early on, and then we see this turn back around, and then we start to see structure to head higher, right? So this is something we'll still pay attention to. The only problem is if you're doing this, you might curl over the daily chart, and you have to understand you might be at serious risk of seeing something crazy. According to the implied volatility going into February compared to January, January actually expected some rip around stuff, right? We had a little bit bigger implied volatility. February, it shrunk. So people aren't expecting as much volatility in February. There are select stocks, AMDs, your Nvidias, and things like that. Anything with earnings, Amazon, those are still having the priced in volatility due to the earnings. But other than that, you've seen the SPY and the Q shrink up. It depends on the size and the scope of the tariffs, and it depends on the negotiation. It depends on if both parties see it as good. Right? If both parties see it as good and then it ends up benefiting both parties, if at the end of the day it benefits America in some way and it benefits our economy, it can be a good thing. It's just people don't know that yet. It could also be a bad thing if it's too much, right? If the negotiation is bad and then people stop utilizing the US, right? It would slow the economy. That's not a good thing, right? How's it going, Miss Bombshell? How you doing? Are you from Love Island? Are you the bombshell today? Are you coming in here to steal all our girlfriends? Or a boyfriend, sorry. AMD will rip, and I think AMD is one that you can pay attention to right now. I'm not saying that AMD is bad. Actually, AMD had the reversal signals, right? So at the end of the day, this 2-hour hasn't crossed. I mean, you're getting it with the price action. You're getting it with the RSI. It hasn't confirmed on the lagging indicator, so there is always a chance that the 30-minute just turns back up into positive territory. There's always that. I think this is really funny how, like, that is almost like equal there. That's very interesting. Yeah, password, and you got your thing that works for you. I mean, paying attention to positive, negative. I mean, if you look at the SPY, I think we like literally touched on the gamma flip, if you will. I don't necessarily use that too much, but justify some pullbacks. And yeah, I think that's why you're overall looking for a corrective move or some kind of maybe even crash, but I think corrective move, you'd more so lean towards that. Correction is always the more probable thing, just so you are aware. Correction is always the more probable thing. If we just have confusion and nothing in markets say break, correction's the most probable thing. Now, to put that in perspective, that could mean you're going to go through a troublesome time, right? That could mean you're going to go through one of these. And this will be a very, very good part to make money. You can make a lot of money in this kind of market, but you got to be quick. You got to understand how to trade it, all right? There are signals down here at these lows for these massive squeezes that you get in bear markets. We notice in this case, higher low with divergence behind it. Bam. Okay, we're going to be looking for moments like this if we start to see that corrective stuff start to pop up. So it's not bad. I think we might be in this moment. This is where I think we might be at, by the way. I think we might be at this type of moment where we see something like this, and then it just goes up, and then we beat the high one more time. We go into like March or something, and then we start to drop. And I think that's what I see if we're going to go into that corrective move. But we'll see. I think we're at one of those moments right now where you're like, build up, oh, maybe a big scary drop, and then you end up going higher, and then that's the real drop. So we'll see. If this crosses down on the daily, that's kind of a little less likely because you never really cross too much on the daily there. If there's any chance of a bounce and then fall. Depends on what you mean by bounce necessarily. I mean, what you'd really be watching here is, I don't think you're really watching for divergence at this point. I think if this crosses up, you're probably going to see almost like a cup and handle type play out. That's what I think at this point. If you're going to see this play to the upside, you're going to see it play to the upside, like all the way up to the monthly expected move. I mean, look at that measured move. But what does this tell us? Well, that means that if this all would play out, if this is some kind of handle that just launches, well, one, we would need to be paying attention to the monthly, but two, we'd need to pay attention for reversal signals around the monthly, right? We would need 2-hour reversals here, maybe even daily divergence if that's going to fall down. What you could end up seeing is a 2-hour divergence, right, outside of the monthly. That pulls back in the month of February, right? And then you see that either maybe that's that time of the correction, or you pull back, which is more likely on the daily scale, retest these areas and curl back up again. Then you set up daily divergence maybe going into March. That's what I would see if we're going to see continued positivity where we hit 620, maybe even hit 630. No, there was tariff talk. There was tariff talk here. But you did not take out the DeepSeek lows. And that's actually a very good thing to point out, Third Eye. So this was because of potentially DeepSeek. This was technically because of tariff talk. Okay, tariffs are freaking people out. They think inflation's going to go up because of tariffs, and then the yields are going to have to go higher because of tariffs. Higher yields means slowing in momentum, right? According to the, like, say, GDP, or the momentum of the overall economy will slow dramatically, if not even stop, and head in the downward direction. But you're going to need deflation for prices to come down. Like, there's no situation where prices come down but your stock market is still reaching all-time highs, where the and things like it's just not a scenario. You just can't do it. It's they will revert back down to 2% growth. They will not go negative. You have to have the deflationary event to actually get prices to come down. The thing with eggs is a seasonal thing, right? Every year around this time, eggs get more expensive because of bird flu. Every year. More so this year than previous years, yes. But it happens every year, so. Let's see what you guys are asking out there. Do you think the drop was an overreaction? I think that this drop might have been, but it was a pretty big data thing. Like, if you think about like all the evaluations of these companies way up here, and then a company just comes in and says, hey, we can do everything these guys do for this much, well, then this drop is definitely justified. And Nvidia is giving some major reversal signals. Do we need to point those out? Unless this time's different. Shut the fuck up, Mr. Pickle. We end up closing at the lows, and then the next day, gapping and going up huge, starting a new bull run. Check the daily charts for the last 2 years. Good. My thing about talking on YouTube, yeah, we'll sometimes just talk about, hey, how things happened in the past and things like that. But my thing with talking on YouTube is more trying to show opportunity and to look at a daily chart and be like, hey, we're just going to see a down move and then gap up. There's no opportunity there in my book. There's really not. It's hard to find that opportunity. Yeah, let's chat about the VIX, Llama Mama. Let's chat about the VIX for a second. Oh, there's that guy. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. All right, 2 seconds. I'm going to try to calm him down. I knew this would happen. Give me 1 second. No. They're coming to check on the water damage again. All right, sorry about that. Had to calm the boys down for a second. All right, volatility. Big thing with volatility was always, hey, do we come and fill this gap first? I don't even think did we fill this gap? What's the close? 1487, 1490 it looks like. So just barely not closing it. The thing is, you curled up the 2 hour. that goes positive, it could be just like toast. Like if this thing is really saying like the daily can curl up, this is a serious thing you need to be aware of, right? You're elevated volatility already, you're coming back down to a gap fill possibly, and then you're not necessarily filling the gap. But if you just see this and it confirms and there's no wick or anything like that, this is what we talked about in the video, so go check that out. Well, this thing can scale up fast. This is positive. And this is what we showed in the video just now, so make sure you watch that video all the way to the end and look at volatility again. We discussed it a little more, but this is negative, right? This is still in negative territory, according to your MACD. Look at what happens when it goes positive. Bam. That's some serious stuff, man. That's some serious stuff. It's like this. Let's see. This bar was technically negative, but it started to go positive right in here, and then bam. So you're going to see more upside as you go positive. So you really want this to maybe go up and then fade. So you want this 2 hour to be quick. If you want to be bullish, you want this to go bam like that. More likely to maintain and cut. Yes, but that's let me read that again. Higher yields are used by the Fed to suppress inflation and consumption. Won't tariffs do the same thing, meaning the Fed is more likely to maintain or cut? Technically, yes. In my mind, technically, yes. In my mind, that makes a lot of sense. What if it doesn't affect it? What if we still get numbers that the Fed's overall going to pay attention to the numbers? And don't think the Fed is the one in control of inflation at all right now and what the actual rates are. Don't think they're fully in control of those. They aren't in control of those at all. They are not in control of the rates at all right now. Like very basically. Very basically. Well, so the way to put this is the reason that tariffs actually could bring price down are probably the reasons that you're suggesting, Jeffrey, right? We won't have to see those rates higher. We can see the economy grow if they're going to have to cut rates dramatically because of it. But will those negotiations go well? Will that be very obvious to investors? I don't think it'll be obvious right away. I think it adds more credibility still to the confusion, right? Not everyone is going to be able to put it together like yourself and be like, hey, doesn't this mean that this is happening right now? No, people are going to react to everything as they hear it. And that's kind of an issue with markets right now. But if you would tell me that, oh, the Fed's in definite control of the yields right now, I would just say you're wrong because they've been cutting forever and these yields are going higher. So the bond market called that we would have to fight inflation again before the Fed even tried to, which means that the Fed probably made a huge mistake and cut rates too early right away. And it's the mistake they always make. It's like, oh, we cut rates too early. We didn't want to fully take care of inflation because then we'd have to experience some kind of recession. We kept saying no recession, so we have to start cutting rates. Now look at them. They're having a pause because it's coming back. The bond market called this. The bond market called this completely. So the Fed's always doing kind of like, the Fed's always reactionary technically, and that's not something that's going to happen, right? When inflation hits, you want to stay in front of it, not behind it barely. It's just not a good recipe in my mind. You want to ask JP for us? I appreciate that. It's a very good point to bring up, though, Jeffrey. I'll look more into it and think more on it. I'll sit on it for a little bit, try to see what I think from it. My whole thing is discussing topics like that. Do we actually see reactions from buyers or sellers? Because at the end of the day, we're trading stocks. We're looking for buying and selling. And so we have to understand, like, not just what we think people would do in reaction, what we think markets would do in reaction, but what is the actual reality reaction that we are getting in front of us right now? Right now, tariffs freak people out. And also, this song is not it right now. What the heck song am I on? Okay. No. Let's do some A Day to Remember. Let's do that for now. So do you see the follow through from last week's sell-offs? I think this is going to be a topic for tomorrow, Monumental, but just so you are aware, this 2 hour crossing is suggesting that more downside is very likely. This is saying the most probable thing is more downside. That's what this is saying right now. It genuinely is, unless this is still positive. So you have to be aware of how this can trick you. The only way that this tricks you is a 30-minute whips back up on Monday. The only way that you really show bullishness is this whips up on Monday and gets up to higher prices. And even from there, you're not necessarily safe, right? Because if you, by the end of the week, are making signals up here, it's kind of a problem. You'd actually more so invite this for positivity, and I know it sounds crazy. This is what I'm going through in my head right now as I look at charts. And usually when that starts going through my head, that's my intuition kicking in. So if this is saying most likely pointing down, what if we have a big amount of implied volatility because of the end of the day on Friday? We see a daily move of something like this and something like this, and it's very large. I wonder if it's going to be large. You see that 2-hour dip down very early on, and then we're able to save something because we get data. I actually think a downward move would be very interesting here. Because as of right now, what'd you do? Well, you curled up on a 2-hour and you tested the high, but are you going to make a new one? And that's where that 30-minute has to whip up. If we're not going to do that, this is suggesting negative, meaning we can take out this and go down lower. So we'll see how the weekly and daily expected moves shape up, and it'll help us out a lot. It was quite a U-turn, and I'm glad we were aware of it. That's the thing. You're always glad when your analysis is aware of what can go wrong. And that's what I put out on Thursday. And I was very hesitant to put that out on Thursday because we have the lower high on the 30-minute. But I'm seeing stuff. I got to be honest with you guys. That's the main thing, right? That's one of the top 3 things I try to be at all times is show you both sides, because I don't want to be one of those guys that just gets, hey, this is good, this is good, this is good. It plays out to a daily expected move, and I'm like, I just yell at you the next day because I'm like, oh, you should have seen this, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm going to put it in my video if I'm seeing those warning signs. Yeah, after hours as well. By the way, after hours wasn't very safe from this. Just so you're aware, this did drop more after hours, right? We did see this hit lower levels after hours. If you go look at even the SPY as it sits right now in your trading platforms, it's still probably down at a lower price right now. And especially, I think for the US 100, that was dipping lower as well. So we'll see what happens with it. As of right now, though, I mean, those signals that we were looking for, the 10-year is potentially on the daily scale, that is. The 10-year hasn't turned up on the daily scale. We see that very simply, but it's by the center line. That's why we were watching it. The dollar has not turned up on a daily scale yet, but we are aware of that. Why were we aware, even with reversal signals, of the daily crossing down? You guys remember this red line? The monthly has crossed in December, right? The monthly crossed in December, and we still are holding that. So we're aware this can be ugly. XABC might be playing out. January 13th low to January 24th high with a break of DeepSeek, maybe GeekSeek low, and close above that low is very bullish. Closing above the low is good. It's very, very good for the SPY. Like, this is still good structure. It's just very vertical structure, and that's kind of the problem I have with it. And so I think like this dip down is totally justified because I think that this was very tight. We really wanted this to be deeper, if you remember. I think our weekly was like, or our what was it? The daily move was actually lower than this, I believe. I believe that was lower than this. And I wanted it to come down deeper. That little bit of deep comes in like this, and then you see that and you go up. But this is behaving very, very well still. You have not lost this low. If this just turns up on a 30-minute, you might be heading to a weekly expected move right away. But the reason that I'm pointing out both direction, the reason we're just chatting, really, we're not really trying to do too much like in-depth analysis unless you ask me about it. The reason that we're looking at this is because you get a bunch of data right away in the week. 9 a.m., ISM manufacturing PMI. Notice that it comes at 9 a.m. For me, the market opens at 8:30 a.m. So this data is coming out at 9 a.m. Jolts will come out at 9 a.m. So it means watch for fake outs in the first 30 minutes. Watch for fake outs in the first hour after the data. You have to be watching for those because it comes out during when the market's moving. Same thing goes for jolts. Jolts will be a big deal. That's forecasted to come down. Job openings coming down. We'll see if that takes place. we're potentially, and not this month, but in March, you're potentially going to see illegal immigration affect some of these numbers. We'll see what happens with that. The deportations of illegal immigrants. ISM Services PMI, 9 a.m. So notice it comes out when? After the market opens. So make sure we're paying attention to, say, daily expected moves. So with data, something very good to do is be like, okay, I get data in the morning. Well, if before that data comes out, we see it hit a daily expected move, you have to be like, okay, let's really watch for the reaction from here. Okay, rejects. All right, awesome. So this was all a trap. All right. We'll be paying attention to that throughout the week. Jeffrey, that's great. And if you see any of those reports, just keep us updated. I'm just kind of checking out some charts. VIX, 30-minute is very positive now. You're taking back the 5. The thing for the VIX would be, can this continue, right? Can we reach to higher levels so that when we dip down, we're able to be in that positive continued trend? But the big thing is confusion is going to be next week. You get data every single day. That's right. I didn't even finish showing you the data, right? That was just ISM Services PMI. Still, as you go into Thursday, you'll get initial jobless claims. Everyone's going to be paying attention to that, even though it's not red over here. But that comes out before the market opens. I would be more worried about Thursday, Friday. Why would I be more worried about a trick on Thursday or a trick on Wednesday, late Wednesday or late Thursday? Why would I be aware of that? Well, because the data comes out before the market opens. The data comes out before the market opens. Unemployment rate and non-farm payrolls. They do not want the unemployment rate ticking up too high, right? They want it to remain strong. They don't want it to tick up too high. And then you'll get non-farm payroll. So we'll see what happens with this and pay attention to the reactions. But yeah, you had XLU not seeing the positivity, HGX not seeing the positivity. These were all warning signs. And then HYG falling off with the news there. So able to take some good little trades. Thank you, Dow Jones. Thank you, weekly expected moves. Dow Jones is a beautiful trade. If anyone's looking to take that course and you got a question about it, we can look at the Dow with you or something, because it's just fantastic. For DIA, this is kind of it's wonky because there's a lot of weird things. There's this going on right here. There's some funky stuff there. There's gaps below you down in here. So what I'm really paying attention to, I have not made the weekly expected moves. But if you see this 2-hour, and let's say, you know, DIA, it never really has a ton of implied volatility. So let's just say that that's moved up and maybe it's like right there. Maybe this is a little bit higher up there. Okay. So this would mean that if this is going to continue, where is it most likely to see a bounce from? Right here. So the thing is, the value of these, I don't think anyone was short the DIA, like relatively. I think there were more people long than short, thinking this is really, really strong, because the value of my options got valuable so fast that I sold a lot of my contracts immediately, and now I can hold the runners down to a weekly expected moves, and then I can use that weekly expected move as a take profit. If it's going to be before then I'll look for, hey, are we seeing reversals on the SPY and the Qs at a daily expected move? And once the SPY and the Qs both hit a daily expected downside move, I can make a decision, or I can hold on to it. It's kind of like either or. Right now, I'm already positive in the trade because it gained so much value, so it's very nice. And now I'm just sitting on runners, being like, oh, my risk looks nice. Tell me your analysis on the 1-hour chart, 124, 13 candle, and the 131 candle, 13. Still space into the FVG candle from 128. Man, you are getting like individual candle analysis is kind of what you're talking about, I guess. But if you pull up an hourly and you're looking at the 124.13 candle, Jesus, where the hell are we? 124.13, and thank you so much for the donation. 13 candle. About that candle, what about this candle are you looking for? Like this exact candle. Like what's so special about this exact candle? I have to ask. I mean, that's the candle where right before that you went negative. Yeah, I'll show you, Jeff. I'll show you in a bit. Yeah, if you're looking for like, oh, this exact candle, why is this and this and this? I don't necessarily know what you're looking for. I mean, if you're looking at this area in here, you're going, okay, can this scoop up and cross through? It faked you out and said, yes, I can. Immediately dropped right back down. That immediate drop right back down, you have to realize right away that could be a fake out. I don't want to be long anymore. And then it never came back. So this is how seriously you have to treat false breakouts. That's a false one. Right, that's that's something that I call, and people point out sometimes when I say it, they're like, "What the heck does that mean?" This is a blip. This is a blip. This is saying, yes, we're gonna do it. No, we failed right away, and you have to be trading like water in those situations, especially if you're doing something like the NQ, right? What's the other one you were looking at? Thank you, Jeff, for the $5. Appreciate you, buddy. I'll go look at that for you in a moment, because DIA was something. I'll show you how I traded it. Tell me your next 1 hour chart, 124, 13 candle, and the 131 on the 13 candle. 131 is the next one. 131 at 13. Right here. Well, right here's your crossover bar. All right, so this is your crossover. This is when everything's confirming down. So when you see these things confirm down, and you're above the 5 actually, mainly you're thinking test of the 5. Right? If you have that space and you're above the 5, it's still bullish. Even this right now, a lot of like day traders would still consider it like, hey, if I see any kind of little 5-minute structure here, we can catch a bounce. Or maybe 15-minute structure here, we can catch a bounce, right? So you've taken back the 5, that's great. That's great. But you're starting to confirm downside, which means there's always risk. And as you keep confirming bigger charts, that becomes a bigger problem, because you're getting more momentum to the downside. If this just goes negative, you are very likely to, well, hopefully you can create some kind of higher low here, right? You're positive. Hopefully you can still make that higher low on the 2-hour scale for the NQ. But what if you don't? And that's why we try to get out of our risks. If I'm in calls right now and I see that confirmation down, I'm going, well, from here forward, there's no reason for bullishness right now. If that would turn back around quickly, there might be reason for bullishness again. But you have to realize that that can head lower before. That could still, it's pointing in that direction. It still can take out this low. But for the hourly chart, pretty much from this standpoint forward, even if I'm holding on to positions from lower levels, that's the only benefit here. If you're holding on to positions from here, taking profit on the way up, very, very weak buying patterns here. But if you're actually holding on to, say, runners in this area, you might say, hey, I can take myself out of the risk. I can see this retest the 5. And if that curls back up off it, okay, test the high, go make a new one. But very difficult in this situation to be like, oh, yeah, this is very, very bullish right now. This could be the next opportunity setting up for a little trade. But overall, it's still pointing in the downward direction, so you have to talk badly about it. All in on Nvidia 132. Am I in trouble or no? It's just kind of a YOLO play. Let me talk to Jeff real quick about DIA, and then we can touch on Nvidia. Does that sound okay, Joseph? Do you mind waiting a minute? Because DIA is super simple, and want to make sure, third eye, I just want to make sure that everything's cleared up there, and then we can look at this. Okay, cool, Joseph. I appreciate that. And if that didn't clear anything up, third eye, I just want to make sure that you're getting some kind of benefit from that. Freaking A, man. Yo, all I gotta say, my wife's mom works at the mall, and she's been getting me these sweaters from Hollister. I'm not gonna lie, comfy as hell. All right, my bias is short for the following week. Okay. I think that makes sense though, third eye. Doesn't that make sense with how it looks right now? What I would encourage you to do is, and what we're talking about is how that could go wrong. That's it, right? How it could go wrong, and that's it. If it goes wrong, it means you might need to react in some way, and that's all I try to discuss, right? I'm kind of the what's it called? The devil's advocate, if you will, and I'm kind of my own devil's advocate at all times. If I'm in profit, I'm trying to convince myself to take profit, honestly. like genuinely, and that helps a lot with the devil's advocate. As far as this goes, the area that I started to take, and I just want to make sure that I have the correct weekly expected moves from last week up here on these charts, because I know it's on my other ones, or 50-16. Actually, your weekly expected move is here, right there. You see that perfect little tag, and then the downside move was 438. These are not the updated moves, just so you're aware. These will update tomorrow, so make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're joining us tomorrow. Okay, so the trade setup is really, really nice here. And so what I was doing was I was like, just in case this is a rejection divergence, I want to be paying attention. So my first small scale in was actually on this crossing right here, but I had to wait a little bit for that to cross through. And I actually just confidently took that right at this level right here. And during this spike down and during this spike down, the value of those options went up dramatically. So I go, oh, this is interesting. I don't think premiums kicked in on the short side. So if I see another move up, what I'm going to do is understand I already have a smaller position, really small position, and understand what I'm looking for. I'm looking for the daily to possibly pull back, but more likely I'm just looking for a 2 hour to pull back a little more aggressively, as that has not seen ups or a good downside pullback in a while. This thing is going up while the market is kind of like figuring out if it wants to go higher. So what I wanted to do was look at this 2 hour, just understand what's going on here, understand the goal is to see some kind of pullback, whether it's to here, 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 right? But the overall goal is just to make money out of the play, right? So on the 30-minute, I made a decision here. I said, if I go to a weekly expected move and I see any kind of rejection that takes me back below this right here, then I'm going to take that. Right? I said, I'm going to take that, right? So at this point, we hit the weekly expected move. I see it come down. I take it. I take my second position. And the good part about this was a little bit later, there was a good confirmation bar. So I only had to watch it for an hour. And then I felt very confident. And then I can sit there and manage the risk if this 30-minute turns back up, right? Or scale in again if it's quick. But I didn't have to do that. We saw it drop off. Immediately, this thing went up by 100%. I literally, like, from the time I bought it, it was up like 100%. So I had 2 scale-ins, 1, 2. And my goal was really to see that 2 hour pullback. But intraday, I go, oh, this thing's moving fast. If we get down to here and there's enough value in this trade, right, enough money to be made in the trade already, I'm going to sell most of my contracts, leave the runners for the next week. Why? Why did I make that decision? Because confusion is the word of the year. Confusion is going to take place a lot throughout 2025. So I am someone who goes, if confusion is there, how could this bounce? How could this bounce? What if the 30-minute just bounces? Take my money when it looks good. That's what I overall did. I took most of my money when it looks good. I leave the runners. Now I'm already in profit. Even if I lose all the money from those runners, I'm solid. I'm good. Right? Now, anything below this is just extra money. And then I can make that decision based on a daily expected move for the SPY or a weekly expected move coming in at lower level. Maybe a weekly expected move gets tagged quickly. I can make a decision to sell the rest of those contracts. Sorry. Because technically this is still a 2 hour divergence play and the daily could cross, right? Like, don't forget, this is a 30-minute, a lot of weakness. Don't forget that, yeah, it's rejection divergence. It's not my favorite, but it's still there. Okay, it is still very obviously there on the RSI, and you failed the cross up even on the RSI on this bar. So this could be a daily pullback, right? We still want to say daily pullback. Now, why am I saying daily pullback? We said down here, the DIA is very likely to make a lower high. But notice that we extended higher than where I really wanted that lower high to be, which made this MACD go a little bit more positive here, which means that I still should be aware if this is quick and turns back up. I still should be aware if this is going to get some consolidation to turn back up. I hope that makes sense, Jeff. I think it was Jeff. Exactly, you wiped out all of this. You wiped out all of that. You wiped out 3 days in like, technically you wiped out 3 days in just like 4 hours. Happy Saturday, Carl. Hope you're doing good today, buddy. Oh, that green close at the 9 yesterday morning threw me off. Yeah, it can throw you off sometimes. Try to be confident with it. Like, one thing that helps me a lot too is still keeping in my mind while trying to manage risk and taking a play, keeping in my mind the ultimate goal here. The ultimate goal here is, well, this stock's not going to move in the craziest way possible. I can tell you what would have been absolutely crazy for the DIA to do. It's to go positive and keep going positive from right here. That is crazy, right? Because every time we get up to this line, what do you start to see? Problems. We get up to that line again, problems. We get up to that line again, problems. So I'm like, well, if I think of how stocks are most likely, the most probable way they move, if I see any reversal signals in here, even if they're a little wonky, the most likely thing is that it's going to pull back. Where could it pull back to? Well, I probably have to pull this back up as well and say that that 20 might be a great target. Right, that 20 might be a great target there. And Tom, thank you so much for joining us this Saturday. Thank you for subscribing, bud. So now I can put up a 20 right now. I was just having a 9 up to clear things up for you guys. Let me just get through this chat real quick. Yeah, and third eye, I think you're right to call out. It's a little dangerous for calls with that kind of move. It is. You have signals blatantly against you right now if you are in calls. You are kind of hoping. What do we always say about hope with a trade? If I'm ever hoping in a trade, that's usually not a good sign, right? The only time you should be really like hoping is like, oh, there's a reversal signal here. I hope that turns up a daily chart. But if then something bad happens before that daily chart turns over, I don't want to say, I'm hoping this turns back around. That's a lot different. Tesla, let's go look at Tesla. Got to put in my fuel. So Tesla, let's look at this very simply here on the daily chart. Very simply, what are the two things, bullish and bearish, that we can be aware of right away? I'm looking for two specific answers. The first answer has to do with the MACD, and it's the bullish thing. The second answer has to do with structure and what kind of pattern could play out for a bearish thing. So many of those. I need them while I look at charts. It keeps my brain just flying. Positive territory? Yes, I mean, pretty much. There's so much good info explained clearly in the courses. Definitely the best investment I made this year. Hey, I appreciate that, Jeff. And thank you for grabbing it while it was cheap, right? I mean, the actual value of that, just so you're aware, if you're still hesitant to get it, the actual value of that, I've had it valued by a guy who traded with Wall Street, traded with a hedge fund, actually. He worked for a hedge fund. He's an older gentleman. He goes, the stuff that's in your course, he goes, I took the course. It was $100. And he goes, I just wanted to check it out because he's a buddy of my dad's. He said, hey, you should be selling this for $2,000. I value it at about $1,000. I think that's a fair value assessment there, but I'm never really trying to sell it for $1,000. I'm not trying to make a bunch of money off the course. I'm trying to make it available so people who have traded in markets for a while and maybe have struggled in markets for a while can actually understand how to think about things simply, very simply, and then make decisions based on simple reasons. So thank you for saying that, Jeff. I appreciate that. Okay, so for Tesla, there's two things that are very obvious here. Where is the MACD? And someone already said this, it's by positive territory. So if that curls up, what should we think will happen? It's by the center line. So this is a very extended corrective, I would say, pullback for the Tesla. The Tesla. You don't have the big reversal signals besides maybe lower high, right? So what we're paying attention to now is that actually a lower high, or are we going to see the daily just confirm up? That's a mean wick. That is a mean little wick there. So if this is able to actually curl up and be strong here, you have a chance to, I would say, take out this high, and then you got to see what happens around these type of levels. Okay, you really got to be paying attention to what happens. But because this is kind of good, because if this is so extended and this ends in the upward direction, I think you could actually see a new wave here, like some new patterns show up where we actually make that divergence going into what? March. That's what I think for the bull side. What about the bear side? The bear side, very simply, I'm looking for the structure. What is the structure or the pattern that looks here? Head and shoulders, right? Left, head, right shoulder. Why is that very, very likely? That is very likely right now. Why? The 2 hour, the positioning of the MACD told us, hey, watch out, this could just be a right shoulder in some way, right? Everyone wants the neckline to be perfect. I don't give a crap. I just want to see if they're grabbing liquidity to head down. And this could be the grabbing of liquidity from the breakdown area, the grabbing of liquidity from the breakdown area again in the same area, all the touches of support. There's so much resistance across this that area is very important. And if the 2 hour crosses down, head and shoulders is there. So you could end up very quickly down to 357.78. And then you want to look for what signals look like down here, right? Do we have 2 hour divergence or something like that? But those are your two scenarios for Tesla that I see in front of me right now. And you just have to do two things, right? Which one confirms? All right, make a decision if I want to take it or not. After I make that decision to take it or not, with my 5 reasons to take a trade, which we talk about in the course, right? If you don't have reasons to take a trade, you don't have a list you go through, we give you a list. The third thing is, does anything go wrong? Nothing in the market is 100%, so you have to be paying attention to how you could be wrong. There's one thing I can't have to manage emotions. That's true. Stick to the course teachings and forget about your feelings. That's very true, and something that'll start to manage your emotions, weekly and monthly expected moves. Base your emotions solely off of weekly and monthly expected moves. I would say mostly monthly expected moves. Right? If you base your emotions off of weekly expected moves, it can save you, right? Remember Nvidia. Remember Nvidia here? What were people asking me here? What were people asking me right here? People were asking me, hey, should I buy Nvidia? It's breaking out, it's breaking out, it's breaking out. What did I quickly say? Hey, it could be a breakout, but you have a 68% chance to close below the weekly expected move at that time. And that's about where the weekly expected move was. What happened right after that? Bad things. This can manage your emotions of making a potential bad decision. You have a 2 hour chart that is very overbought, right? It doesn't mean it can't go higher. It's just I want consolidation to make the next move higher, right? I want a good opportunity. Even if this skied to the ceiling, this 2 hour would say that is not a high reward compared to the risk opportunity. This is saying the exact opposite. The risk is this. The reward was I don't know. It's almost nothing, but you had 32% chance out here, 68 here, you drop. Weekly expected moves, monthly expected moves can help you manage those emotions a little bit better, or at least stop your emotions from making you make a decision, right? If I was like, holy crap, this is getting me bullish, I really want to buy this, just having that little purple line right here, having that little purple line right there will help a lot, right? You might say the same thing with, say, Apple. Remember Apple? Remember Apple? Below a monthly, below a weekly at this time, still went lower, below a weekly again, I believe, right? But at this point during this week, we were looking for that reversal. Why? Because that monthly expected move is here. And so we have a 68% chance to land in that. Did you go check? Did Apple land back in the monthly expected move? It did. It did. It landed back in the monthly expected move. Isn't that crazy? The monthly expected moves can stop you from potentially taking a short down here, or even a short here, and that might have been a good decision, or that might have been a good trade, say, but I would say that might have been luck. Right? Taking downside right there was overall like, man, that's pretty lucky. You had divergences right here and everything. This is a, if you continue to do that kind of thing outside of monthly expected moves, you will lose 68% of the time. You know? So as of right now, you're going to get new updated monthly expected moves for things like Nvidia, things that closed outside of them because of some bad news. All right, let's see what happens. We have a new month. We have a fresh one. They can really help you manage those emotions, actually. They help me all the time. The only time, really, that I like to take a move like near a weekly expected move is if, say, the SPY did a big, massive move to here, and then it curled down like this, and then on Friday you started to see this or something like that. then that means that can break through maybe to the next week, or it might end outside of the weekly expected move, right? But we'd still say if it was up here, that's elevated. I don't know if that would be the best decision. You want to see consolidation or something towards that weekly expected move. Well, yeah, I don't day trade, but a lot of people use this info that I give out, I noticed, for day trading. So, God, there's got, you know, in day trading, I never was like, I was successful with it. I just wasn't as successful as I am now, I would say. So for me, it's funny to see a lot of people who day trade. Maybe you guys just have different ways you buy and sell stuff, but overall, I would say that mine has gotten better since opening up the positions and holding for a little bit longer period of time. Lately, I've kind of been day trading, I guess, because I've only held on to contracts for 1 to 2 days. The full course is oh, you've traded for 5+ years. Okay, the full course would be better for you. You'll be able to put together very quickly swing trading if you take the full technical analysis course. The swing trading course is the basic way, and something that we more lean towards, like, oh, investing is very good for just a swing investment. But you can do it on the shorter time frames. I started out as just solely a swing trader using that type of strategy. As I started to develop more, right, I'm a guy who always likes to learn. Even though it was working, I always want to try to get better. Sure, there's some hiccups and learning periods where you lose, but that's just part of trading. Now my trading is benefiting from that, going in depth into divergences and weekly ranges and all kinds of things. So I would say for someone that's been looking at markets for 5+ years, I'd say you at least need to be looking at them for like 2+ years in order to fully understand right away the full technical analysis course. But I think that would be the good one for you. Thanks, I'll get it today. Hey, no, thank you, Norman. And if you have questions, Norman, we're going to be live on Monday, okay? We're going to be live on Monday. I do not trade ES. I'm thinking about starting because of the dark pool overtaking the lit market. I think they're going to change that. The reason that dark pool is picking up is because they're trying to trick retail more and more, I think. That's why you're seeing more gaps in the market, is because dark pool activity is picking up. So I think that if Trump is doing things right, he will realize that dark pool is not necessarily good for retail investors. There's ways to hide stuff in there. So I think he would be right to either open that up and say, everyone's going to do this. We're not going to have a dark pool anymore. Come on. Or he's going to say lit market has to be more than dark pool. No, I thought about trading ES or NQ, though. Thought about starting. I have to give it some time. It's just my trading's still doing well. It's just I'm having to make decisions at times where confirmation is like barely there, which is a big problem. I like to see those confirmations. The good part is when they're trying to fake you out, those divergences, when they pop up, they're trying to fake you out. They want to fake you out and you just see it. So it's going to be during lit market. Tesla bullish or bearish? At the current state, let's go look at Tesla on a 2-hour. 2 hours crossed up, so, and it is above the 5, it is above the 9. I would not say that that is bearish right now. We went, if you want to go back 10 minutes, we went over Tesla and we showed you the bullish scenario. We showed you the bearish scenario. Right now, the bearish scenario is showing up, and you have to be aware of that for Monday, but it hasn't confirmed. Once it confirms, it's way more probable to play out. Tran, thank you so much for joining us. Thanks for subbing, buddy. Never buy super short. That's great, Anthony. Oh, there you go. So maybe that's it. Maybe that was my mistake. Maybe this is technically what day trading would be like, opening up the contracts, but that's awesome, Anthony. Mara, I think Mara's interesting. The first thing I always do, though, if I look at Mara, is I go over to Bitcoin. I go over to Bitcoin, I look at the 2-hour, that's curled down. If that curls up, good. Higher low could be there, right? 4-hour cross down, if that curls up, higher low could be there. So upside would be the thing if this curls up. Is it curled up right now? No, so technically the direction for this is down. Till you see enough buyers come in that strongly curls up, and then you see this curl up and it goes, right? Daily scale is turned down, so I can't really talk too bullish about this. Why? Why could this be a big problem for Bitcoin? And for Mara, you have daily divergence. Speaking of Bitcoin, maybe it's a problem for MSTR. You have daily divergence here. So you're trying to see, is this consolidation to break to the upside, or is this divergence, which is showing very well here, right? It's a little bit wonky, but we will notice that we need to pay attention to it. We know the state of the market. So this means that the daily is suggesting we could head down. So what do we want to see? We want to see that 4-hour whip up pretty quick, or else you're at risk of going for another test of 91.8K. Right, we said here 91.8K. We said here again, hey, try to make a base at 91.8K. Curls up. Hey, if that fails, where are you looking at? 91.8K. We just keep going there. So if this is going to continue downside, that's where you're most likely to see it. If a 4-hour can turn up first, you might not see that right now. But this has divergence. You can really see it from the RSI. Like, are we hitting these high points? No, you are down there. Expected failed handle on that cup. Well, one thing that you would say is maybe this isn't a cup and a handle. That's why I'm mainly just saying consolidation, right? Consolidation to make the move higher or lower. I think if you curl down, you get below these wicks in here that saved it, you're probably going to end up down to 91.8K again. But this is a pretty big wick. That's a pretty big wick. I think there's some confidence still in Bitcoin. Trump may mention something about Bitcoin soon. Who knows? Happy birthday to your little girl. Thank you so much, and enjoy your weekend. Hey, I appreciate that, Jeff. Thanks for coming in and asking a question. I appreciate you being here, buddy. So let's go look at Mara in comparison to this right now. Mara, there's a difference here. It's not tracking Bitcoin to a T. And the other thing is, a lot of people say there's a short seller problem in Mara. The only thing I'm seeing is this right now. That's all I'm seeing for Mara. If this is controlled in any way and that daily crosses down, you are very likely to take out this wick even and head to the downside. Maybe to close a previous gap that we kind of left behind here. Maybe it's to go a little bit lower and close this gap that we technically left behind here. Because if you didn't notice, there's another gap right below that one. There's another gap right here. 1550, 1547. So that's what I'm worried about. And the 30-minute is confirmed saying down. So you just be like, all right, downside looks likely, but I think you're flagging out. I think you have a chance that this is some kind of head and shoulders slanted, right? There's always a bullish, there's always a bearish case. I think you have a chance here that this is a left, this is a head, and this is the right shoulder forming. But we got to see how it plays out. If we look at the 2-hour chart, that's what we see right there. Sorry, I think I said 30-minute here. The daily scale, if that curls down, we should expect bad things, right? We definitely should expect bad things. It's like, okay, we came down, we consolidate, and then if we drop again, well, then we might be dropping lower. We might not fill these gaps and stop. We might keep going, right? We could technically probably make a full extended move similar to this one. Let's say similar, right? Not the full thing, but say similar. We make a similar move. Well, you're dropping below 1550 and you're going down to $14 maybe. So I would treat that seriously. As of right now, 2-hour confirming saying down, but it's on the last bar of the day. So if it's on the last bar of the day, I need to realize that could be a blip. But the price action is telling you bad things. The RSI is telling you bad things. It's going to try to whip back up, and you need that to happen to say head and shoulders is going to play out. Well, my thoughts on the SPY in general here, Lan, are just like, we need this info to play out. I don't think just buying calls on Monday is like, I mean, obviously you can make any decision that you want. I'm just talking about myself and the decision making I would think about. But if this 2 hours crossing, that means downside's pretty damn likely. I would really be looking if this 2 hour can turn down, maybe go to a daily expected move and then hold up above that low. Because if you cut this, you're probably going to a weekly expected move. Now, we need updated weekly expected moves, so don't put these on your charts just yet or update them because these are last week's and daily expected moves. But if, like, I mean, look at this. The daily expected move started from right here, right? Started from right here. And look, now it's down here. So what's going to happen? This is probably going to shift down. Maybe it's there. Maybe it's like this. Then you say, okay, if that goes down to here and then turns back up, we can see good things. Right? if that comes down to here and then turns up and then turns back down, bad things again. You have to be very quick with it. This is why lately I pretty much have been, like, if you consider my trades lately, they have kind of been day trades, except for here, right? These weren't necessarily. These were like hold for 3 days, hold for 2 days, hold for a week, sell everything. But I'm treating it like a day trader and selling a lot on the way up. We did look at Tesla a second ago, go trade, but head and shoulders to the downside or a daily cross up into positive territory. Really just two things to pay attention to there. One of my good friends only trades the ES. Yeah, a lot of people are kind of like, those ES traders and NQ traders, they like only trade those. You very rarely, and Brian, thank you for subscribing earlier. Sorry, bud. You can rewind it. Yeah. You can always click back in there to find where we talked about Tesla. We talked about it, what was that? We mainly talked about that and gave both scenarios clearly 20 minutes ago. So Landland, I think you are itching to make a decision. I'm not saying a decision can't be made for you early on in the week. I'm just trying to be like, okay, make sure you understand which way the market's trying to go here. Because you're in a scenario where probably waiting to see how Monday plays out first can benefit you later. You have a lot of data this week. Don't think that this rip around behavior is done. I think we're going to see more and more of this in 2025. And this is why I'm going live right now, allowing you to ask questions maybe about the course in case you want to see how we caught these type of bounces. That course can really clear it up. Why we actually held on to this one longer, that has to do with, a lot of what we talk about in the course. Yo, these songs are dead. What song is this? Doesn't Bring Me the Horizon. Okay, hold on. I gotta switch this song. Well, let's go old school. Let's go Paper Cut by Linkin Park. Let's go, dude. Yes, I did. I already took some profit on it. It gained value super fast. I don't think a lot of people were shorting it. I think the premium value just went insane. So I already took most of my profit, leaving some runners. Compound and Friends? I actually don't know who that is. I'll go look at their stuff real quick. Let me just look at what their titles are for now. Face of the ways that it goes by all eyes. Face of it. Is it called The Compound? I took 2 puts, still holding. Yeah, the only thing that made me take profit was the fact that the value got good really fast. From my first scale in to my full position to this, oh man, it gained so much. I almost sold it on this wick because it gained value so fast, but it came down, sold it. I'm trying to sell things pretty fast if they're in profit very fast. Lucas, if we get a 10% pullback from this point, you still expect a market crash in some time of the year? If you get a 10% pullback that pulls you up, there is the scenario then, if it happens like soon, then you would say there's a scenario where we still get a rip around market, but we end up to the upside into October. It depends on how long that 10% correction takes as well. And the reason it makes sense to pay attention to how long it is because if it's really long, you could technically see something like a pullback in October that's just a little meaner, and then see this go into 2026, right? We're still aware that the 6-month to 18-month window just really opened up like, what, 2 months ago for that yield on inversion. So we could still be in a situation where it's choppy, but we end up to the upside for a full 18 months. So be open to this lasting to 2026, but I think if you don't, I just don't think there's a scenario where you don't at least see a 10 to 15% corrective move in 2025. I almost said it out loud and I cannot see it in my brain. Hopefully I can look at signals enough to figure that out in my brain so I'm aware of that scenario, but I can't see it in front of me right now. Meaning, I don't see a scenario where we do not get a 10 to 15% correction in 2025. That's what I'm trying to get at here. And one thing about DIA, I always look for a reason to sell. I see little 5-minute divergences and I just go, oh, we could get a 30-minute pop. My value's really good. 30-minute pop I'm not worried about with the runners. But if that 30-minute would fully turn back around and start to look like, oh, I'm going to head back and take back the 5, not be consolidative, I want to make sure to make some profit in the move. So little 5-minute divergences in here. Actually, I wanted to find a reason because the value was so good that I even went into a 5-minute to convince myself to take some profit. GTFO. I just wanted to make sure to tell you that bit. Swing trade stocks, day trade the NASDAQ and ES futures. They have interesting SMT divergences between them, which play out on smaller time frames in real time. Hey, that's great, Jeffrey. A lot of Jeffs in the chat today, too. Yes, US compound. This, oh, it's just brown. I guess it's this. Yeah, I wasn't gonna hold any longer than Monday. Thanks, bro. Yeah, you can see, you know, position trading, you usually will want to be holding on to stuff, but because people are making crazy bets, man. People are obviously like, this is the craziest I've seen premiums fluctuate back and forth with this move for DIA. That means like barely anyone was thinking that the DIA would fall here because it gained so much value so fast. I only had a 3-week contract, like, freaking A, man. Like, nobody was thinking this would pull back. Friday was wild, Goonie, but hopefully, you know, days like Friday prove why you should always be open to the management of risk, why you should be open to doing further analysis than just like, hey, my trade's going well. You know, implied volatility is higher, hard to do those things. Okay, what's the DIA doing? What's the dollar doing? What's the 10-year doing? Is everything else remaining in the good scenario, in the good position to where everything's going to be just fine? And it wasn't the case. Tesla is technically turned down on a 2-hour, or I'm sorry, on a 30-minute. Technically right now, Tesla is bullish on the 2-hour scale. You have a 2-hour that's slightly, very, very slightly positive. You're still above the 5. This is not bearish yet. I'm making you aware that the 30-minute has crossed though, and so if you lose the 5 here, it immediately kind of flips. So I'm thinking this though. I think Tesla is going to be able to make the next upward move, and then we'll watch out. I think if we see something like this, that's when you watch out. You've seen the selling come in from this level. You've seen that resistance. Again, that support, 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 support. You're right in that little zone. You've seen now resistance, breakdown area, resistance, resistance. Oh, we went up there, gap below it. Oh, we went up there, big drop below it. Oh, we went up there, big drop below it. It's a worrisome area. And so if I make a reversal signal at a big resistance, I'm going to be paying attention. Now we have to see if the daily curls up and things like that too. That's going to be the other side to that. Very nice. Same thing goes for the SPY. Can the 30-minute curl up really fast, or you're at risk, and the 2 hours saying there's a lot more risk for downside. Something to understand with, I look at multiple time frames. I don't think a ton of people do that for trading, but I look at multiple time frames. I don't think it's like they look around as much as I do, is all I'm saying. Like, I'll literally flip back and forth every 20 seconds. But what I understand from those bigger time frames compared to smaller ones is the smaller ones have less volume, the bigger ones have more. So a 2-hour cross down to me matters more than a 30-minute cross up, or cross, yeah, than a 30-minute cross down right now. All right, a 30-minute cross down, yeah, okay, we could see a little something. 2-hour cross down, okay, that can be a little bit bigger. Weekends are more chill. You know why? Maybe it's because, like, the market's not open. Sick. Yeah, we'll look at Celsius in a moment. We kind of went over Nvidia. We didn't go into shorter time frames, so I'm down to look at Nvidia again. The thing with Nvidia that you're aware of is this could be flagging. This could be an upside move, it could be a down one. If the 2-hour crosses down, lower, look for divergence. But the 30-minute crossing down here, you want to be very aware that this could be some form of consolidation to head lower. The news for Nvidia was not good. Yeah, you're trying to make a floor in some way. I don't think that this is the easiest setup in the world, right? Will I be looking at Nvidia for a trade right now? No, I probably won't. Just because the structure here is just like, I could be flagging, I could be trying to scoop up and do a bunch of weird handles and stuff. I just think that this is a very troublesome look, and you more so want to pay attention to, can we take back the 5, or are we going to break the lows? Right? Ultimately, the daily is going to have to confirm back up to see any kind of positivity. And the thing with Nvidia is you have so much to get through to be bullish again. You could run into resistance right here. You could run into that resistance right here. You could run into that resistance right here. You could run into that resistance right here. And then obviously you could run into that resistance up at higher levels. This is going to be very troublesome. It's going to be difficult. Do I like to trade things that are difficult? No, I don't. I like to see things clearly. And if this 2-hour could do this quickly, then it would be more clear, right? We see this and then it just turns back up. That would be more clear, right? Because that's a signal that turns up daily charts. So if you see this flagging and it doesn't do a big drop like this again, it can. That's why if this crosses, you got to treat it seriously. But if you do this real quick, I wouldn't be against it. A lot of data this week. Oh yeah, we should look at you day trade or swing trade. Technically right now, I think I'm like accidentally day trading, but I'm a position trader. So I like to hold on to moves for 3, I would say volatile markets. Usually I'm holding on to them for 2, maybe 3 days. But this has been such a rip around behavior, and people making such like, people are making bets like they're obvious, and they're not paying attention to the risk at all. And maybe that's because retail trading is like at all-time highs right now. But we're seeing people kind of ignore the risks. So when I buy that risk or see a reversal signal where people could be caught off guard by that risk, the money is printing very fast. So weirdly enough, I've kind of been I guess an accidental day trader for the last like 2 months. We did want to look at MSTR because we did take that look at Bitcoin. We showed the potential for bad things. Oh, MSTR. Oh, buddy. Oh, buddy. This is a 2-hour. What's the daily look like? Oh, God. Okay. So immediately the daily is confirmed down. So what's the first thing we should be paying attention to from the daily scale? Well, first thing we should look at is, are we going to test this low? Are we going to go make a new one, right? That's first. Second is, hey, if this holds up in here at any time, if we see reversal signals in here at any time, we can maybe head to the upside. Third, I would say, okay, even if we react down to here, we need to be aware of something like this showing its head. That's what I think for MSTR. I think there's a lot of bearish things to say about it, but you've seen a solid amount of pullback, and overall, right now, low, higher low. If this is a higher low and we curl back up, I would expect us to take out this high and go make a new one. So that would mean to me, if the 2-hour maybe even shoots down first, this would be nice, see a divergence, but I'm going to be aware in case that goes like this and then just falls. So you could see something like this very quickly, or you could just see this go up and fail. Or we see that extended, the daily crosses up, and then you see another bit of upside there. So MSTR, I think that this thing is getting more and more complicated, but I'm going to say this. Michael Saylor is very good at manipulating people to buy the stock or the company that he's a part of. So all he has to do over the weekend is potentially buy some Bitcoin and tell people he bought Bitcoin, and then the stock might go up. So that's the risk of trading this. It's dictated a lot on how are people's sentiment towards him. But if we look at it simply on the daily, you're going higher low, trying to see if this is going to be a higher low. The 2 hours suggesting it could still turn up, but if that turns down, you want to treat it seriously. Jesus, someone just banged something. Microsoft. Yeah, Microsoft got it dirty, and this is the problem with earnings. There's a big problem with earnings. It's like you had a signal before it. Yeah, the double top signal, but that easily could have been wrong. I'm not going to sit here and tell you guys, oh, I know about divergence. I knew this would happen. No, it's a 50-50 flip. I'm not going to take credit for something because it shows on the chart when I look back. No, we pointed out the divergence, but we also said 50-50 flip. It's just not something that I like to take. This bar right here was a great confirmation, though, right there. If you're going to take a chance with earnings, I'll say this. If you absolutely have to, I still believe it's 50-50. If you absolutely have to, I guess trust your signals, but I would not expect to be right. I would expect to be right half the time. With other failed CEOs. Yeah, look at his Enron thing that he's trying to put out there. Some nuclear egg or something. Have you guys seen that? Have you guys seen the Enron egg or whatever? And the key thing is, notice who he's giving it to. Like, who has he given an egg recently? Is it someone who you trust? Someone who could look into it? Someone who would know about it? Or is it someone who he's picking that's just because they're maybe popular and he wants stupid people to buy them? I'm not convinced at all that he produced something that good for society. Russ, thank you so much for subscribing as well, by the way. I can't. He can prove me wrong. That's perfectly fine. Prove me wrong. People can change. I'm not one of those guys that like holds you to it and says he has to be doing something fraudulent. I'm just saying people are more likely to continue their habits and continue their patterns than to break a pattern. Exactly, GTFO. Never know what's going to happen with earnings. It's just Visa had earnings, didn't they? Visa had earnings, right? This is that problem with earnings that we discussed was that in the Thursday video? In the Thursday video, this is the problem that we discussed trying to take plays even on earnings because IV drops. This is something problematic, right? It's very high up, showing 2-hour divergence on the RSI, not on the MACD at the same time. A 2-hour big pullback is most likely coming for Visa now that earnings is over. You're probably going to see this pullback to fill a gap. You could see it pull back to retrace to the golden pocket, right? We don't talk about this in the course because I don't think it's the most useful thing in the world. But you could see this pull all the way down to 320. Yeah, 320. What would that 320 be? That'd be a retest of the breakout. A retest of breakout area. Right? You broke out through those highs. Okay, well, 320 is right where those highs are. That would be a great place for this to turn around. If it's going to be brief, this and this, all you're looking for is this is like, let's dumb it down. Like, let's simplify it. How high up is it from the center line? Very. So when's the next time that it'll get bullish? Well, pullback seems probable. The next time that's a good opportunity would probably be when it's down here and it curls up. When it's down like this and it curls up. Trying to be simple there. If you think about it simply, you don't want to overcomplicate things. More info is not better trading. A better common sense is probably better trading. Those are to keep it straight for me a little bit. These are kind of like ones that I really like to trade. These are kind of like indice type things, right? These are indice type things. These are pink ones, just like, okay, these are in relation to those indices. I want to watch these in relation to the indices. This is kind of like my Mag 7 almost, right? And the bigger stocks that I pay attention to. I probably should pull AMD off of there, but I like to keep the order of it. Then we go into, you know, potentially smaller stocks or stocks that I've added that I'm paying attention to right now. These are just like, hey, these are ones to click and keep your eye on every once in a while. But they have a yellow one because it's like, hey, don't do anything crazy with these stocks, right? Blue is kind of like, hey, I can trust them. I can trust taking a trade. Yellow is kind of like, hey, just take into consideration these are maybe a little bit riskier. So it's kind of to give myself a mental note, like, hey, indices, things that I want to pay attention in correlation to the indices. and TLTs in there as well. And then you see, okay, these are the stocks that I trust and I like to trade for the most part. These are the stocks that I will take a trade if there's a good setup, but I know maybe to use smaller position sizes because they move kind of wild. Wolf has nothing. No, Wolf is like a have fun with it. That's it. Mar is a have fun with it. That's it. SMCI is a have fun with it. And Netflix is just interesting to me because that thing is just a monster. That thing is a monster. It's going to get a monster pullback eventually. You're probably going to fill this gap soon. Look at that daily divergence and tell me right now that Netflix is a great buy. Like, tell me that Netflix is a great buy at $1,000. Like, yeah, that's just, I'm not even looking at Netflix, but I think it's interesting. I think Wolf is interesting still. Then, you know, crypto sometimes in purple, and then these, once again, you see indices red. UVXY, I put that in red just because it is one that I want to pay attention to. Nails in blue because I trust it for my investments. And then you got VIX 9-day, still looking at that every once in a while. Tina I could potentially put in blue. And then FFIE is just, that's at the bottom of the list, honestly. USO is just added for later as well, just to pay attention to the ETF, but US oil is right here. It's just to keep it straight. I don't like to click in and change my list and do all that. I'm like, hey, this is what I like. This is what I need to pay attention to be successful. That's it. Keep it simple. This is all I need. I don't need to look at every single indice and understand which indice is strong right now and this and that. No, I'll see that in the charts for the stocks. This was really worrisome though. Like this is what tipped me off. This having reversal signals tipped me off. What could be going on here for HYG? I mean, honestly, we could see this drop down, okay. More likely to, as the positioning of the MACD is higher. I would just be aware of a pullback that curls back up. Right? If you really look at this, which means one thing, this kind of means that the market could go higher later on. Just depends on why HYG goes up. I'm sure people thought I was a little crazy coming out on Thursday and being like, oh, this is kind of scaring me a little bit because we made the higher low. But I gotta be honest, if something scares me, I'm gonna tell you about it. And it ended up being something worth talking about, so that's great. Like, you gotta appreciate it when your analysis and your risk, the things you're paying attention to for risk, end up saving you. That's great. Thankfully, I got out before this. I was pretty confident in those risks. So I just had my only trade was the IWM one, really. And then the DIA short, but for bullishness, IWM was this, and I knew that this was likely. Right? We knew that this was likely for IWM to come back down to here. We knew that as long as we're not violating this low, this is okay. But now the 2 hours suggesting that that is very probable. So we need this to whip back up. We need this to curl up into positive territory. Weirdly enough, you even got divergence here. That's funny. But yeah, we're looking for this as the bullish scenario. It's very nice. But yeah, I sold up here. Why did I sell up here? Weekly expected move. Thank you in the chat. Thank you, Patreon members, for enjoying those weekly expected moves. Let's see if anyone wanted to join the Patreon today. Should we go check? Let's see if anyone joined today. We can say thank you for joining. No one? No one? No, I'm just kidding. Thank you, John, for joining us. Thank you, Mark, for joining the Patreon. Really appreciate you being there. And thank you to a few other people taking that course, right? There's a few other people that ended up taking that course, so thank you. If you do have any questions, we will be live Monday. And if you are just getting the swing trading course, even if you want to save it for later, you want to take it later on, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but in my mind, if I can get something for $100 versus $400 in a couple of days, even if I want to take it in 6 months, we are not going back down to the $100 price until next year. This is going to be our New Year's sale every single year. You can get it for $100, but just know you'll be waiting a long time. So if you get good at swing trading, that's fine, but you might want to update you might want to get that other course as well now while it's cheap in case you want to learn a little bit more. Because once you take that other course, it kind of unlocks you a little bit sooner, right? You get into plays sooner, which means the risk goes down, which is very nice. And you don't have to let it convince you to do really short time frames all the time. You can look for daily divergences and things like that, right? We can look for weekly divergences and use it to invest swing trading wise. I think that's great. Oh man, I'm so excited. I hope this thing just like keeps the volatility up. Keeps the volatility up. Are you using TradingView? Yes. And to use pretty much everything that I utilize, I don't even think you have to pay for it. So, well, the sale still apply tomorrow at midnight. We like to keep the sale up until the Monday morning stream, and then after the Monday morning stream, it goes away. When it's towards the weekend, we've done this every time. We extend it for the weekend, and then we leave it available in case people have questions. A lot of people like to watch YouTube videos on the weekend, and that's when we get some subscribers. It's usually over the weekend. And so for those new people coming in, I want them to be able to ask questions. So Monday morning stream, it'll be over. Oh yeah, Celsius, yeah, we'll check on that. Celsius, I don't mind this actually. Yeah, we were looking at something there. That's good. Showed positivity. A lot of divergence on this bad boy. On the daily. Very interesting. Oh, when do you pay attention? When it gets close to the center line. There's a lot of divergence here. I want to make sure it's holding the main points. What are the main points? I think it would be this, this, and this. So let's see. This one. Okay, held this one, and then this one. Did it hold? It's holding as of now on the RSI, so this is kind of good. You're getting rejection though. So do I think this will be great for an option? Probably not. Do I think investment-wise, you might be looking into this, looking into the numbers for the company, and then looking for those reversal signals? Probably. I think investment-wise, it looks better because you don't necessarily have the best looking weekly to make a decision. So investment-wise, those dailies say that, you know, scale-ins in here might not be a terrible thing. And then if I'm looking for a simple like daily trade, right here is where I'd be paying attention. I mean, look at this breakout. Look at that support, and then you see, okay, we actually tried to find support on a wick right there, and then you broke through it, and that's where flushing again started up again. So what I would just say is like, a reaction to here makes sense, but I don't know if this would be the best option play. Look how tight it is. I don't know if that would be the best option play right now. I don't even think going into a 2-hour really helps you much. It might help you here to see if the daily can curl up again. See, that's why it's important to hold this one. This tried to be a higher low, so I don't really care about that one. That could be a blip. This one I care about. Yeah, see how the 2-hour tried to make that floor, then you failed. This kind of is at risk to go down lower, and then if that would turn back around, hey, you could potentially see that, but it might just be a move like this. It might just be a move like this, and that would be you got to be a little quick with it if you're doing an option. I think investment-wise, it might be better. Yeah, look at the monthly down by the center line, no divergence at the high. So this is really bad. Doesn't say invest yet, right? We don't even have weekly divergence. So if you combine the swing trading course with the full technical analysis course, what we were talking about earlier, it can help you make a decision. Look at the weekly divergence that called, and what stock has that right now is Nvidia. But this said, hey, this is divergence, this is a double top. What happened? The monthly curled down. It's just going to happen like that. I don't think you have the best structure on your weekly. I think you're going to need to see a run and then see that fail. And then that would really convince me more, right? I was trying to see if we saw something in here on the weekly. I don't think you do. This is a great cup and handle. And then it made that dip down, curls up into positive territory. Bam! That's pretty nice. So yeah, that's how I would take it right now. Does that sound pretty good? Brother got a cut. Bro, I was I was bearded out. I had my beard out. I had my hair out long. My my hairstylist, my barber, I've got my hair cut from her for years, like since college. She's just a great person overall. I like to support people, even though she's more expensive than someone else I could go to. I still support my neighbor, right? I support good people. I give my money to good people. I'm willing to, like everyone brings up the illegal immigration thing and paying more for American workers and why we use cheap labor. I'm like, bro, at the end of the day, I want to support my fellow American. I don't care if it costs me, $10 more. So I've gone to her forever. She actually had her first kid, so congratulations to her. But her schedule's been wonky, so I was shaggy for a bit. Of course, Monumental. Thanks for bringing it up. Sorry, I almost forgot about it for a sec. You caught me. Yeah, I just think we need to go back to supporting each other, guys. Just like we do in this channel. People bring up great stuff. I think you guys are fantastic. You guys bounce off each other. You guys give your opinions. We're all contributing to something. And I think we need to see more of that now. Wasn't always like this either, right? I was always worried about myself, but man, the last few years, my whole perspective on life in general has changed. That's why this channel, what's the sole reason for this channel? Is to be helpful. I want to help out my fellow man. That's it. So I'm not going to push you to do anything. I'm not going to push you into something if you're uncomfortable with it. I'm just going to tell you if I think it would be helpful to you. Hey, the information we gave out on Thursday was helpful. Bless up. Thank you, guys. Amen. Yeah. Vive la Fritz. Pepe la Fritz. Check out Wolf. We'll check out Wolf real quick, Fritz. Is it strictly a GME and AMC live, or can we check out Apple? No. I actually clicked the wrong thumbnail. That's my bad. But if GME and AMC people are in here, how you doing? We can look at those for you. Sorry about that. Yeah, I clicked the wrong thumbnail. Thanks for sharing your knowledge and the experience. Hey, Natural Born Nerd, thank you for being here and contributing to the chat always. How about that? I'm going to thank you right back. $7 a month to get the weekly expected moves. And you'll get an update video every week. You'll get monthly expected moves and daily expected moves for Friday. It is a huge amount of value. And Go Trade, you can cancel anytime. You're not locked in. Nothing like that. Nope. That's why I like the monthly thing. I'm like, $7, costs you a cup of coffee. Okay. If you think it's not helpful, I always say give it a month. Try it for a month. Try it for 2 months. Ask me questions about it during the live show. Give it a try. The only thing you have to lose is going to Starbucks once, And then what if it benefits you greatly? You can ask some other people that are a part of it. But yeah, we put out an update video. We put out an update video this week as well. I think we put out two little videos. We humanitarians, hell yeah. I know, and when all the stuff with the election was going nuts, I felt weird because it's like I was quoting Donald Trump, but I really wasn't. I was giving my own input. My own input was, I don't want people to die for stupid reasons anymore. I don't want people to die so people who sell weapons can make more money in America. Those are Americans. I do not want them to benefit. I think that is terrible. Thanks, Landland. That is Patreon, yep. I have a busy schedule, so I'm not the most active, but I always make sure to update you guys every single week. And we give updated weekly. We give everything. I just can't chat in there a ton. So that's why I do the live show. For everyone, but especially our kids, yeah. Hey, thanks, No Boost. Appreciate you. I've been watching recently and your info has been great. I appreciate it. Would you mind looking at Rocket Lab? Yeah, let's look at Wolf first, okay, VO? And then after Wolf or during Wolf, could you remind me to look at Rocket Lab? Or, yeah, Rocket Lab? Okay, let's go look at Wolf. Wolf, not a bad look. Not a bad look. This is the recipe for success for Wolf. Okay, this is the recipe for success right now for Wolf. The 2 hour is not confirmed back down. You are holding right on the 5-day moving average. You are seeing that the 9, you are above that still. This is okay. But you have to understand this might be something that's going wrong right now. It could be going wrong right now, right? We could be building up to a key area, seeing some resistance, trying to coil up to head higher. We see on the daily scale, we have a bunch of daily divergence down here. So this could see an upward move, especially if it can hold price in a flag. That's great. The 2 hours confirmed up. This is all good. The 2 hours gone positive. This is all good. But if someone wants to risk money to push this stock down, then that's what they will do. If they see it as, hey, I'm willing to assume the risk and sell or push the stock down with certain short seller activity, that can happen. You do have a gap below you and everything like that. So something I'd be aware of is just if the daily crosses back down. It's not going to be the moment. But I would say if the daily can cross down and hold that floor again, we have seen us try to hold the tapering. We lost it. But you notice where we're at right now? Where are we? We're in line with that tapering. So this is very, very nice. It's just an ugly daily bar. It's an ugly daily bar. I have checked the implied volatility for Wolf, I think. Let me go see if I have the updated number, or I can look it up real quick. I think I have it, though, for the month. Yeah, so going into the month of February, let me just click on it real quick. Okay, there it is. That's the one. 131% implied volatility going into the month of February. So that means we could probably see like a 50% move, maybe up or down. So where am I kind of targeting for this? If it's going to go up, right? I took this for fun. The 2 hours crossed up. I'm seeing if the flag will play out, and maybe it'll hit $8. Right? If we hit $8, that would be a breakout, retest, and then go higher. Look at how that could happen, and you would be breaking out. As you break out, you look at weekly timeframes, and you're going, wow, we have a bunch of divergence down there, but that was all getting violated on your RSI. Now you have a rejection one at the low. So if this stuff starts to produce, you can see weekly upside. Now, this is more, I'm talking investment, because I'm not going to say that squeeze is more probable. It's the most probable thing. Squeeze, a short squeeze, is never the most probable thing. And that is why AMC and GME people bug me a little bit when they say tomorrow's the day in every video. Oh, we can find these 20. Notice more info is not better info. Oh, hey, I'm going to read into all this. I'm going to make a 30-minute video about it and say that's the reason that it should go up to tomorrow. If I wanted to, I could make a YouTube channel like that, and I'd probably gain a bunch of subscribers. I'm not doing that. I'm going to tell you that a short squeeze is always a very, very, very low probability. You have to see the buyers and the short sellers get absolutely worried because the stock is going up. You got to get those buyers to step in, and you got to see a move big enough to where short sellers go, oh crap, it is not worth the risk for us to try to push this down. Okay, that's the truth of it. That's mainly what a short squeeze would happen, right? You need the buyers to really step in to convince the short sellers to close those positions, and then that covering is what causes the squeeze. Not little retailers buying. Do not come out here and say retail pumped GME and AMC. That's just false. It's blatantly false. There is no way in hell that happened because of retail investors. Part of it happened, the base happened, the strength at first happened because of retail, but the reason that might have pumped AMC to 20 bucks, whatever, but the reason that this went higher was because of short sellers closing positions, the closing of short positions. So if you're looking for that here, that is always low probability. So we always just say, if you're hoping for it, take a good setup and understand managing your position size. Because it is a very low probable thing you are trying to get, you need to pay attention to when that goes wrong. That went wrong here. It almost, it was good, but they said the risk to reward here is we need to suppress the stock, or maybe people taking profit, whatever, maybe bad news, whatever. But the selling came in. That confirmed down on the daily scale. What happened next? Bad things. oh, this is going up, it's going up, it's in negative territory. It curls down, what happens? Bad things. These are not moving any differently than a stock would move with confirmations. They are not. You're just seeing more failures of those moves sooner because people are willing to sell or do short selling activity. And they think that opening those positions is worth it for themselves right now. It's at the point where they start to go, it's not worth it anymore, let's close the positions. That's when you see a big thing. Hey, thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. We're gonna see. Make sure you find it helpful. If you have any questions, Mark, come to the live show and ask. All right. Okay. Reminder for Rocket Lab. Thanks again, Vio. I appreciate your patience. Thank you for being patient. It's great to practice that patience, isn't it? It's great to practice some of that patience. Let's go look at that real quick. Okay, RKLB, is that right? RKLB? Okay. Rocket Lab, right away. Okay, who can analyze this for me? Who can tell me some risks here? Is this one risky? Is this risky according to the daily chart? Divergence, perfect, awesome, great answer right away. You have divergence. You have divergence, so we have to be aware that it is in the realm of possibility for this to experience a big drop, and you have confirmed that divergence on a solid bar on Thursday. You held below that bar and saw an inner trading day, right, from the Thursday confirmation bar. You're getting inner price action, right? So you're coiling up. And you're getting pretty tight in here, actually, right? We're seeing a 2-hour. That's overall what? Well, going sideways. Tried to confirm up, confirming back down. Still holding right on the 5. Still above your 9, but still on the 5-day moving average. That's good. So if the 2-hour continues to head up, there's no divergences really up here, just at the high with 30-minute divergence. So if we want to go make that 2-hour one, we could see this curl up right away in the week, extend, and then maybe we want to make a weekly expected move to see how high up that's supposed to go. And if we see that confirm back down, that would be 2-hour divergence. That means that this daily momentum can start to take over. The daily momentum could take over right away, though. Do I think this is an absolutely great trade? Maybe for a day trader. But the daily is saying, hey, man, we're going to head lower. That's what the daily is saying. It doesn't mean you can't get that flash fake out move to get people bullish and say, what were we even worried about? Then they have something to worry about. You also have something called earnings coming around the corner, 50-50 flip on that, right? 50-50 flip, just so you are aware. Earnings, you can kind of throw technicals out, and then you want to see what happens after earnings. But I think the 2-hour move higher is what I'd really like to see for a trade setup. If that would happen and I have a weekly expected move at these levels, that'd be great. If you want to learn how to calculate weekly expected moves, I'm going to try to maybe put that video out on Patreon to just show, but the reason that I'm hesitant to do that is just because there is a learning curve, and I know people have heard me say this before, but there is a learning curve to making those expected moves. You have to understand saying what you need to calculate it versus putting the calculation actually in to make it correct is a lot different. So you need to understand what price to take, what expiration to take, how to put that expiration in there, right? How to put that implied volatility from that expiration in there. Where do I get that implied volatility from? There's a lot that goes into it, so it takes a long time to do. But in the course, we give you a way that you can do it with Robinhood. You could do it with Yahoo. You could do it with Yahoo, probably. Yahoo Finance. So I'm thinking of teaching people how to do it with Yahoo Finance. Because I think their implied volatility, I've used them before. They're not bad. And everyone has access to it. That's why I like it. So it tells me what? I mean, if I look at this, though, and I go risk to reward, I mean, if we look at this and we go risk to reward, we look at weekly charts, right? You're going risk to reward. What do I think? Is this a great time to invest in this or not, right? We like to simplify it after looking at a bunch of stuff that could get complicated. It's like, hey man, I got weekly divergence on the RSI. Yeah, we have earnings. Do I even want to trade around that? Because there's a lot of risk going into that event. Applied volatility could be higher. Even if I take a short and I'm right, I could still not even make money. because IV. If IV drops, it's kind of screwed. But it's, as far as right now, is this something that looks like it's just going to do that? I mean, if it did, that's fine. But the more probable thing is you're going to see something like this and then see that. You're going to see something like this, 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 then see that. And then maybe you get that right shoulder. Hey, maybe this pops up. Maybe I should screenshot that and see if that happens. But yeah, it's just decision making is pretty simple. If you want to do it with the Bollinger Bands to make it simple, reward, risk. So for an investment, I think it's a tough one. All right, I think I gotta take off soon. Yeah, I gotta take off soon. I think that's a pretty good place to stop there, though, guys. I mean, it's just a weekend stream to get people chatting, get people thinking about maybe joining that course if they need something, if they've been ripped apart in this market, but also just explaining like, hey, let's take a deal. Now that I've looked at this a little bit more, I kind of have a good starter, and then I like to look at it. I literally look at stocks with my noise canceling headphones on, with no music, plainly silent, and I just look at the charts and I go, what is the most probable outcome here? But what are other scenarios to be aware of, right? So that's what I'm gonna do over the next 24 hours. I will be looking at charts a little bit here, but I'll probably take a break for now and look at those in the morning just to give my brain a fresh start and get started with baby girl's birthday. We got to set up some stuff. So thank you guys so much for everyone with your contributions, even some of you guys contributing during this week for baby girl's birthday, her first birthday ever. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this community and contributing for that. My wife has been doing a bunch of DIY projects with those little donations you've given. So we really do appreciate it here. The family appreciates it. My wife appreciates it so much. I mean, Robert gave $100 a week ago so that we could do some nice stuff. You know, we've had a dog pass and all kinds of stuff going on, but Richard gave $100 and I, you know, we sent wifey out to go get her nails done because, you know, we got to treat mom. She works very hard. So thank you guys so much. And Finn, thank you for the $5 right there. Have a good weekend. You just looked at your charts for the weekend. Unless you're learning, right? Unless you're taking that course and learning, try to go do something fun, guys. Okay. Try to go do something fun. Like we're explaining on this channel, we want to help out our fellow man, but helping yourself out is good too. Treat yourself to some good food. Go do something fun. If you have a little bit of extra money from some trades this week, you know, go bowling. Do something actually fun. Don't just go drinking and do all that stuff. Go drink with some buddies and bowl or something. That's always a good time. All right, guys. Have a great weekend. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. We'll put out a YouTube video in the morning, and I'll see you guys live on Monday. Peace out. Oh, Patreon members. Monthly expected moves are up. I had to edit them once. So Patreon members, make sure you got the right levels on your charts. Okay? Peace out. Sushi and skydiving it is. That's what's up, Chris. Sushi sometimes makes me toosy. So I don't know if I'd skydive with that. Awesome, Land. Thank you guys for being here on a Saturday. Have a good one. Peace.